Welcome back to Book Summary 5. I'm your host, Sammy, and today we're diving into a novel that feels less like a story and more like a meditation on time, identity, memory, and what it means to be both witness and participant in the tangled web of another person's life. A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki is a rare book, a work that folds the reader into its very structure, where every chapter feels like a fresh layer of consciousness. The story opens on a rainy afternoon in British Columbia, where a writer named Ruth, sharing a name with the author herself, is walking along the shore with her dog when she discovers something extraordinary washed up on the beach: a Hello Kitty lunchbox. Inside the lunchbox are a collection of objects that seem at once mundane and mysterious: a watch, some old keys, a couple of marbles, and most importantly, a set of notebooks. These notebooks belong to someone named Nana, a teenage girl living in Tokyo. As Ruth begins to read, the novel pulls us abruptly into Nana's world, almost like stepping through a portal, from the gray shores of Canada into the bustling, chaotic heartbeat of modern Japan. Nana is not just any teenager. She's bright, reflective, filled with the restless intensity of youth, and she's also deeply troubled. Her narrative opens with her great-grandmother's suicide, an event that shakes her family to its core and leaves Nana wrestling with questions about existence, suffering, and meaning. She begins writing her diary as a way to anchor herself, to make sense of her past, her family, and the scary idea that life might ultimately be without meaning. As Nana writes, she tells us about her life: her parents, both struggling in their own right; her older brother, a charismatic but deeply damaged young man heading down his own self-destructive paths; and her great-grandmother, a Buddhist nun whose death is witnessed more like a forgivable passage than a tragedy. Nana's writing is raw, tender, piercing. Every page feels like a confession and a question simultaneously. And then there's Jiko, a Buddhist nun whom Nana meets through her great-grandmother's teachings. Jiko becomes Nana's mentor of sorts, someone who gives her a different lens through which to see suffering and existence. Through Jiko, Nana begins to explore Buddhist philosophies about impermanence, intention, and presence. But even these teachings struggle to quiet her fierce anxiety about the world and her place in it. Back in Canada, Ruth becomes obsessively absorbed in Nana's diary. Each time she sits down to read, she loses herself in Japan, in time zones, in cultural shifts, in the intimate architecture of Nana's mind. Ruth begins to wonder who sent the notebook, why it washed ashore, and whether this connection is random accident or something deeper. Is it coincidence, or is it something like fate, a remnant of time that refuses to be forgotten? As the pages alternate between Ruth's present and Nana's past, the two narratives begin to reflect each other. Ruth, dealing with her own writer's block and grief, finds that Nana's diary stirs memories of her own life: her mother's death, her father's absence, her own sense of unfinished business with the world. In reading Nana, Ruth is forced to confront the ghostly edges of her own life. Meanwhile, Nana's life grows more precarious. Her family falls deeper into economic hardship, and the emotional undercurrents around her begin to pull her toward a future she can't yet see clearly. In the shadows of her diary, you sense a tension that isn't just teenage angst, it's an existential ache, a longing to know both why we are here and what it means to matter. But then the novel takes a twist, an eerie, impossible twist, that transforms it from a story about two women in two places into something that feels almost metaphysical. Ruth starts to wonder whether the diary is still being written. She sees references to the tsunami that hit Japan, a disaster that we know happened in our own history, and she realizes the writing might not have been completed before that event. So did the diary continue on its own? Or is this a different kind of time loop entirely? Ozeki plays with the idea of time itself throughout this book. Time is fluid, time is messy, time is something that doesn't happen to us but with us. The way the diary and Ruth's life start to overlap pushes the book into territory that feels almost like a meditation on resonances, the echoes we leave behind in other people's lives, the way one life can change another even from thousands of miles away. And that shift is what makes A Tale for the Time Being so unforgettable. It isn't just a story about a girl named Nana or a writer named Ruth. It's a story about how moments ripple, how stories survive, how presence and absence are two sides of the same coin. Nana's voice begins to feel like a presence in Ruth's own life, almost like a haunting, not frightening, but insistent, asking questions about compassion and connection. By the time the book reaches its close, we are no longer certain where one life ends and the next begins. We've traveled through grief and curiosity, through war and calm, through pages that feel like prayer and pages that feel like screams. The novel ends not with answers, but with possibility, an invitation to believe that time is not a closed loop, but a wide, open tapestry where lives intersect in strange, beautiful ways. A Tale for the Time Being doesn't just tell a story. It makes you feel the texture of a life being written, being read, being remembered. And perhaps the most moving conclusion is the thought that no life is ever truly lost if it's open to another mind and held there. Thanks for tuning in to Book Summary 5. I'm Sammy, and if this story has stayed with you like an echo, you're not alone. Until next time, happy reading.